Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Friday to you. And if it's not Friday while you're watching this, completely disregard that comment. We're going to be talking about a really great movie today. We're going to be talking about a little film called Ink, directed by Jamin Winans. I'm not sure if I said his last name right or his first name right. I heard a podcast host say it like that. So I'm not sure if I butchered it. If I did, I'm so sorry, but that doesn't matter. Well, it kind of does. But this film is excellent. It came out in 2009, and you probably didn't hear about it, and if you did, you might have passed it over. And I'm here to tell you that that was a huge mistake, and you should feel awful for it. And here's why you should feel awful for it. Now, Ink is a really excellent film. Unfortunately, I think it probably did get overshadowed in 2009 for two reasons. One, it's an independent film, so typically a lot of the mass public isn't gonna, march on out to go see an indie film. I don't know why not. And also, it dealt with dreams. And what was another movie in 2009 that dealt with dreams? I'll give you a hint. It was Inception. So everyone was all about that and didn't care, which is a shame. But good thing, though, it's picking up popularity on the internet thanks to a release that the director had in 2014 called The Frame, which is also a brilliant movie that we'll be talking about in the future. That really did my head in. That movie got me and thoroughly confused. I loved it. But Ink has been made more well known as a result of it. But this movie is excellent. It's an independent film, but it's not your kind of shitty, typical low grade, low quality, bad, low budget thing. Really, this director takes everything at his capability and everything at his disposal and makes a spectacular use of it. The plot is pretty simple. Especially when you compare it to something like Inception. I keep saying that because people are like, dreams, it must be like Inception. No. In the world of this film, there's sort of two sides to things when it comes to dreams. There are the storytellers, and they're the good people, if you will. They're the people, the beings who give you good dreams. They sort of come into our world, our dimension at night when we sleep, and come in and stand over us and, touch our head and give us good thoughts and good dreams. And they watch over us. The ones who give the bad dreams, the nightmares, are the incubus. And they are the evil ones. They're the ones who give us all sorts of awful thoughts and nightmares and, continue on dark feelings and depression and such. They are the negative effectors in this case. And of course, naturally, there's that war between them. But there's one character who is neither a storyteller nor incubus, and his name is Ink. And he wants to join the incubus. He appears, as a black, cloaked, hooded figure wearing all black, and what happens is he steals the soul of a little girl named Emma, who is the daughter of a guy named John, played by Christopher Soren Kelly, who does an amazing job playing this character. We'll get right into that in a moment. But he steals Emma's soul, and now wants to take her soul, which in the dream world is a physical manifestation. Obviously, the film has to show the difference between the dream world and the real world, and does wonderfully through the use of color, tints, and filters. So when I say he steals her soul, he steals her away in the dream world. Yet in the real world, she remains physically completely there, except she slipped into a coma, a deathly one, and could indeed die from it. So it's now up to the storytellers to try and find Ink and pursue him and get her back in that way. And also they need to have John reconcile his differences and be a father once more. Yeah, that's where the other half of this film comes in. It's not all dreamy fantasy stuff. There's some real emotional things to this. As we find out, John is no longer with Emma. As the plot develops, we find out that he grew up very poor and ashamed of that, greatly so. And once he found success in business, he never, ever wanted to go back. He unfortunately fell into drugs and alcohol and eventually had Emma taken from him. And as such, he felt betrayed by... Emma lives with the mother's family, and we find out that the mother passed away. And as such, he's utterly depressed because he misses his wife, he misses having Emma around, and he feels burned by the legal system and has thrown himself completely into his business. and refuses to deal with these things because he felt like, this is something, oh, they took her from me, why should I care? And the storytellers are trying to find a way to get to John in the real world. Obviously, they can't appear to him or do anything like that, but they want to find a way that he can reconcile his feelings of his ego, his guilt, his regret, his anger, and try and become a father to Emma again. Even if she's in a coma in the hospital, his presence there could change everything. And that's the dual narrative of the story. One half is trying to get Emma back in the dream world. The other half is trying to get to John and get him to change his ways. And it's brilliant. The special effects are quite wonderful, especially in the opening scene, one of the opening scenes, where the storytellers are fighting Ink for the first time. You see Ink about to take his hand and put it on Emma, and the storytellers bust on in through the windows and stuff. And what I love is that because they're not actually technically doing it, the window will break and shatter once they hop in, and then immediately go back to being the way it was. And that happens as, they'll fall on a table and it'll like reverse itself, or if someone gets a drawer thrown at them, it all goes back into place. And the fight choreography is great. It's not this shitty, it does use a shaky cam style often, but it's not like, whoa, you can't see anything. It's not like someone's got a crippling addiction trying to hold the camera. It's done to add to the frenetic pacing of the fighting, and it really feels like it works, especially for some moments of it where it's like almost stopped for a second and keeps going. It really adds to this intense pace, and the action looks great. The special effects are also wonderful, both in terms of how the incubus look and also how the storytellers get around and such like that. The designs for the incubus is just perfectly terrifying, as well as how they differentiate the dreams, the nightmares, and the real world. And this isn't a movie that tries to go out of its way to be super weird. As long as you keep with it and watch it, you should be able to pay very good attention to it and understand it. Now, there are some elements of the story I really don't want to give away because you need to see it for yourself to watch and understand. But this movie is extremely, extremely emotional. This review, like I said, will contain some mild spoilers, but we already went through that. But there's a lot I won't say, and a lot of the way it's shown is moving, to say the least. John goes through many flashbacks throughout his experiences in the film, and some of those are dreamlike, some of them are not. It's oftentimes him standing there as himself, witnessing these things when he was younger, of previous events. And I really have to say, Christopher Soren Kelly does a phenomenal job playing John, because we see him as a happy man. We see him as a man who has had success. Then we see him devolve into sadness and drugs and business and alcohol, and we just see this change of character. He's so wonderful at being so extremely likable, and all of a sudden becoming this absolute son of a bitch. And some moments with him are just so powerful. Like one here, where Emma's grandfather is coming into John's office to try and tell him about what happened.
Hey, Phil. Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta get to the pitch, okay?
I'm sorry. He said it was an emergency.
What are you doing here?
I couldn't get you on the phone.
If I wanted to talk to you, Ron, I would have taken your call.
Emma's in the hospital. They say that she's had some kind of seizure.
She okay?
She's alive, but she's not been responsive. She's in a coma now.
What are they doing for?
Well, they're trying to keep her stable, but they said it's possible that this has weakened her heart. They say it's possible that she could just cycle over to cardiac arrest. Emma needs you. Kathy and I are with her, but she does. She needs her father.
That's not my place anymore.
We have to let that go. for your daughter.
What can I do now? I'm asking you, Ron, what can I do now? I'm good enough to be your father
We
now?
have to let that go. It's in the past.
Is it? Well, it's very fucking present for me, Ron. You know, you convince the world I'm the Antichrist and you take her from me. You can't throw that in the past, Ron, because that's where I live now.
I know that you've suffered with this. We
Oh,
all
no,
have.
please.
Look, I am.
I don't want to hear it.
pleading
I
with
don't
you.
want to hear it. I don't even have a daughter anymore. Remember? Those words ring a bell.
John, I'm sorry. Mr. Hudson is asking for
I know, Judith. I know. You need to go. This is not the time.
I didn't come here for that.
You want to talk about lives, Ron? Well, I'm at the point of life and death on a multi-billion-dollar deal. And thousands of lives are at stake. And that's important. And that's my family now. That's all I have
We
left.
did what we thought was best for her, but she needs you now. Consider your obligation as her father.
This insignificant man.
Obligation? What's obligation to you? You don't talk to Shelley for 15 years, and then you show up at her fucking funeral? Is that the obligation you're talking about, Ron? Huh? You know, taking care of Emma doesn't somehow absolve you of all that shit!
You could have killed
You're
him.
still a fraud. You live with that every day, don't you?
I'm trying to keep you from making the same
Ah,
mistake.
fuck you, Ron. I am not you. Do you understand me? Don't play the old wise man with me.
This is not about me and you, John. This is about your daughter.
Get out.
I'm asking
I
you,
will
John.
not wait for security to throw you out.
She's in Hilton Hospital.
They all grovel now.
And his negative reaction happens, and maybe we think he's gonna, give in and man up, be a father, but the usage of how he is being negatively affected by an incubus following him is just utterly brilliant. The way they're using the whispering over it and the darkening of the scene with the colors, and it's wonderful because it visualizes what sometimes it feels like in real life when you're getting angry and you're getting upset and you hear the quote voice in the back of your head telling you things, your sixth sense, just it generally mood changes and everything, and it's really done well. And a lot of things, like there's this scene here when he's in his meeting, and there's a lot of these quick cuts where you see outwardly he's very looking staunch, ready to go, but inwardly he's just crazy, screaming, wants to, fuck everyone else, I hate you all. And it's so well done because of the parallels that are both outside and inside that is really relatable. This movie had some parts that made me absolutely bawl. And I don't cry at movies too much, but there were some parts that I just could not keep myself together. Like I said, relating to John's character and some of the things that happened to him was just so powerful. As well, there were some parts that just made me absolutely be marveled at it. Like this scene here with Jacob's reaction, something has to stop the flow. Jacob is a great character. I'll let you get to know him when you watch the movie, but this scene here is just such a fine example of how awesome some filmmaking can be. And it was just brilliant through use of music and through use of the visuals. It was just epic. And the music in this film is wonderful. I believe it was also composed by the director. And it really fits the pace and tone of this film. Now I know, because the way I'm saying this, that you're like, dreams and stuff, this sounds really stupid, it sounds really weird, it sounds really cliche. You got the estranged father and the kid, why should I care? And I understand where you're coming from, but I'm here to tell you, you should care. This is something very unique and very different. Not a single actor is out of place or poor with this. There's humor, Jacob provides a lot of it. I love some of the lines in it.
We meet again.
Look, is this a joke? Do you actually have a purpose? Did you just talk trash?
You lost the girl,
No,
right?
I didn't lose the girl.
Sure. She was kidnapped. There's still time before all is lost.
You have a way to track him.
Hell no, and who wants to? Remember, he kicked your ass. Go around the other side, we'll find the physical girl.
And do what?
Shake the shit out of her!
Oh, shake the shit out of her. I'll wake her up.
There is very intense drama when we learn of John's backstory, and oftentimes there's great tension when we're in the dream world with the storyteller and Emma and Ink, because she catches up to him. And the places they go and the strange beings they meet in order to get the codes to the assembly to go and meet the incubus, it's just rather fantastical because it doesn't feel like some crazy, bizarre dream world. It still feels rooted within reality, but the colors and the different filters put over it are clearly giving an otherworldly feel. Everything shown in this movie in the real world and the dream world is just brilliant and beautiful to marvel at and look at, and the tension between the storyteller who Ink has with him captured, and between the storyteller and Ink is just palpable sometimes. And she's letting on, she knows more than she's letting on, and that's our challenge throughout, to try and figure out who Ink really truly is. Is he just some shadowy in-between figure? Is he a former incubus? Is he something more? And we're guessing this all along. Who is he? What's his deal? And why does he want Emma? There's a lot of questioning and wondering going on there, and the payoff is brilliant, because the film tells a dual narrative where when things are coming together in the real world, they're also coming together in the dream world to this absolutely beautiful climax that combines the wonder of the soundtrack with the wonder of the film editing and combat with the just utterly moving elements of the story. There's just so many, many great things about this film. The characters are super likable, the dialogue and script are well written with good humor and beautiful fight choreography, wonderful effects, I think I already said that, and just a story so very, very moving. It's hard for me to get emotionally invested in a lot of films, but really a lot of this was on Christopher Soren Kelly's part to sell this character, because we have to see him at his best and at his worst and still care about him. And it's amazing how well he sells this. The pain on his face, the anger and rage, yet the other times the joy and the silliness. Really, in just 2 hours, you feel super attached to this character, and the things he goes through, it's painful to watch sometimes, but he sells it so well. And there are just some moments that hit perhaps a little too close to home in a way, and that's almost why I love this film even more, because Mr. Kelly was able to just perform so well and so true that I could just, the looks on his face, the looks in his eyes, it was just like almost like he was experiencing it for real. And to me, that really, really wrapped up the film all together, tightly knit, that our main character was just so excellent. But everything about this is great. The soundtrack, the effects, the characters, the story, the writing. I don't know what more I can say, because it's one of those things that I could talk about it, but I don't want to get into too many specifics. And yet there's so much to talk about, but if I just say it, it might sound weird or lame. You just need to go and see Ink in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, you need to get it legally, get it from Double Edge Films. That's Jamin's company. But whether you order it from him online to get physical copy, whether it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime, whether you can stream it from wherever, you need to see this movie, and you need to make sure you support Jamin's work and Double Edge Films, because this is really an absolute achievement. And keep in mind, this is an independent film. Some of these things you'll see and be like, wow, why the fuck can't Hollywood do this? And I wonder, yeah, probably because they all suck. There is clear and utter passion here. This is a brilliant and beautiful, moving, thrilling, and exciting movie that has such great pacing, moments, and elements, and everything going on in it. And it is an absolute must-see. Make sure you go see it very soon in some way. Remember, that is Ink. Very easy to remember, I hope. It's only 3 letters, but I know people these days forget things. Check it out. It is amazing. Ink by Jamin Winans. Or whatever. I don't mean to mess up your name, dude. You're probably watching. I'm so sorry. Please don't, write a fuck you to me in your next credits. That would make me sad, because I love your work. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out and listening to me talk and review this movie. Go check it out. Have a great weekend, and I'm peacing the fuck out. See you guys later.